buying a home isn't just your down payment. There are several other costs that buyers should be prepared for and educated about. We're going to talk about the basics here with you today. So, Briana, where are we usually starting? What are some of the most basic fees that buyers are going to end up paying?
Yeah, so probably the most basic fee, unless you're purchasing your home cash, is going to be if you're taking out a mortgage, you're going to be paying for a mortgage, so that expense would be on there. And then as well as that, like the lender's probably also going to require that mortgage is insured. So Caitlin, can you tell us like some of the lender fees that might be attached to that mortgage?
Like you said, we have a recording fee to record the actual mortgage for $30. That's pretty predictable. We have the insurance fee, like you mentioned, for the loan policy so that the lender is insured. And that's predictable, but it's not a flat fee, right? So that's based on the amount of the loan policy. And then we start to get into some of the fees that are a little bit less predictable. And that's when we start to getting into some of these lender fees. So there's no such thing as free money, right? So if we're taking out a loan, there's probably going to be some fees from the lender. The origination fee, a processing fee. They may want some tax certifications, some flood certifications. They're going to be gathering data to make sure that they're making a good investment, and you are most likely going to be paying some fees for that. So outside of those lender fees, as a buyer, what else might I be paying for?
Well, another fee that kind of goes with that you might be paying is the lender's probably going to want you to carry homeowner's insurance on your house. So they'll probably make you pay for that up front at the time of closing to ensure that the home remains insured while you're living in the property. So that's another pretty big fee that you will probably, pay. A couple other fees too, like obviously with the title company being involved, you'll pay some title fees as well. But I don't know, Caitlin, did I cover everything or is there more?
I think that's pretty great. One thing to remember too, if you're not getting a loan, as a buyer, you still may be paying fees. And a lot of times what we are talking about are typical industry standard fees in Michigan. Typically the seller is going to pay a lot of the basics like paying to record the deed or the transfer tax and things like that. However, you do want to read your purchase agreement because that is really what dictates who pays which fees. So as a purchaser, you definitely want to do that. And like you mentioned, even if you're buying cash, you probably do want to have some homeowner's insurance, and you're probably going to be actually paying for that outside of closing if you're not getting a loan because you don't have a lender who's requiring it, so it doesn't have to be on the statement. But additionally, outside of kind of the general fees we think of, sometimes we may also have a tax escrow with our lender.
Oh, yeah.
And so the lender may want to pay the taxes on your behalf because the lender wants to make sure that the taxes are paid. So they're going to collect part of your monthly payment. When you're making that monthly payment, part of it may actually be for taxes and insurance. So they're going to collect that money and they're going to put it into escrow so that when the tax bill comes out, they can make that tax payment. But one of the things we don't think about is at the time of closing, sometimes the lenders have to kind of get that escrow built up. For example, if you close in May, but the tax bill comes out in July, the lender doesn't have 12 months to collect your payments and get enough money to pay that tax bill. So you may have to prepay a lot of that tax payment into the escrow. This is also referred to as the impounds. Okay, and so that is a fee that may show up on your closing disclosure. That is something that you may have to pay for at the time of closing as well.
Yeah, so that's some good stuff. So, it seems like maybe a lot of fees, but we do have a really amazing tool called the Buyer Estimate. So, Caitlin, can you tell us where we can find this amazing tool?
Absolutely. So if you're purchasing a property cash, meaning you're not getting a loan, we have a Buyer Estimate model that you can use on our website. If you go to legacyclosings.com, at the top right-hand corner, there's a little red button that says Clients. Click on that for a buyer and a seller estimate. And so that'll be pretty accurate. All right. If you are getting a loan, there are going to be fees that we are not able to predict for you. So if you're getting a loan, you really want to get a loan estimate from your lender, and your lender is obligated to provide that to you. So that is probably the best two ways that we can make sure that we are prepared
Right.
And our big goal here at Legacy Title is no surprises. We want everything to be very simple, very easy, and transparent. So check out our website at legacyclosings.com or feel free to give us a call with any questions.